Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, colleagues. My name is Joan Rodrigues. As you can see, I'm from Wits University, currently Deputy Director for the National Institute for Theoretical Physics. It gives me great pleasure to briefly introduce Professor Francesco Petruccione. Francesco got his PhD from the University of Freiburg in the late 80s. And he came to South Africa in 2004 when he was appointed a professor of theoretical physics at the University of KwaZulu-Natal. And immediately the following year, in 2005, he was awarded an Innovation Fund grant to set up a Center for Quantum Technology. In 2007, he was granted the South African Research Chair, or DSI NRF South African Research Chair in Quantum Information Processing and Communication. Currently is the Pro Vice Chancellor for Big Data and Informatics at KwaZulu-Natal. And since 2009, he was one of the deputy directors of the National Institute for Theoretical Physics. From about the end of 2019, early 2020, he became already the interim director for NITheCS, so that's the National Institute for Theoretical Computational Sciences, which he will be talking to us about today. He is an elected member of the Academy of Sciences of South Africa and a fellow of the Royal Society of South Africa. He's a specialist and his research is on open quantum systems or quantum information processing and communication. He's published close to 200 papers in refereed scientific journals. He's the co-author of a monograph titled The Theory of Open Quantum Systems, and more recently, he also published with Maria Schult another monograph entitled Supervised Learning with Quantum Computers. So since taking over as interim director of NITheCS, Francesco has done an outstanding job and hopefully he will tell us a little bit about some of the activities that have already been taking place under this new entity. So without further ado, then I would like to invite Francesco to give his talk. Thank you, Francesco.
Yeah, thank you, Joao. Thank you very much for the very kind introduction. So good afternoon, everyone. So what I want to share with you today, and sorry, I'm trying to share my screen, but I don't find my keynote. Here we go, sorry. What I want to do with you this afternoon is update you a little bit on the status of the transition from the National Institute for Theoretical Physics to the new National Institute for Theoretical and Computational Sciences. Yeah? And as you can see in the slides, we don't have yet a logo for the new institute, but we hope to have one as soon as the newly appointed steering committee of NITheCS will approve one, and that will happen probably in a month or so. Yeah. So, sorry, what's going on here? Okay, so since I cannot assume that all of you know everything about Nitap, I will start with maybe just a little bit of history of Nitap, the National Institute for Theoretical Physics. Yeah. So Nitap was born out of a report that was commissioned by the then DST, NRF, and SAIP in 2005 on the future of physics in South Africa. Yeah, and the international panel that wrote this report made a recommendation to establish a national institute, a national theoretical physics facility. Yeah, and this is the reason why NITap eventually was born in 2008, yeah, as a home for theoretical physics in the country. Yeah. And as you can see from the logo of NITheP, NITheP was working on, has been working, is still working on a node structure. Yeah, so we have a main contractual node in Stellenbosch that is in charge of the Western Cape, and there is a node at University of KwaZulu-Natal in charge of the, say, of the most of the East Coast, and there is a node at WITS that is chaired and led by Professor Rodriguez, and is in charge for this part of the country. So that is the status of how NITheP was born. Yeah. So the old NITheP, just to let you know why a decision was taken to convert it into something else, just let me give you a few facts. Yeah. Over the years, over the roughly, let's say 15, 16 years of existence, it always ranked very nicely in the various academic university rankings as one of the top institutions in the physical sciences in Africa. NITheP has produced probably around 800 papers, most of them in very good journals. Very interesting is the fact that roughly 60%, just under 2/3, of all theoretical physics postgraduate students in South Africa have a relationship with NITheP, either because they were the recipients of a NITheP scholarship or because they were supervised by a NITheP associates. Yeah? And over the years, we've graduated more than 200 students, yeah, with a fairly high success rate. And at the end of 2020, including institutional associates and other, we had a network of roughly 90 people. Yeah. So this is the breakdown of NITheP associate network before the transition started. So essentially, we had around 70 individual associates and a dozen between strategic, institutional, and junior associate. This was essentially the order of magnitude of the extension of the network. Yeah? One of the issues that at some stage NITheP might have got a little bit criticized is a little bit the demographics of the associate network, which you see is not really a healthy reflection of the society in which we are living. And one of the hopes of the new institute is that, of course, these imbalances can be improved considerably. Yeah. Over the years, I mentioned we always had roughly, let's say, 30 bursary holders every year. As you can see in this graph, the last couple of years, there was a little bit of a dip, but that was mainly because of the precarious situation about the future of NITheP. Yeah? I always forget to mention that for some reasons, NITheP was administered by NRF as a center of excellence. Yeah? Although when it was created, that was not maybe the intention. Yeah? And Center of Excellence come with a sunset clause, so that after 15 years, we were not really sure whether NITheP would survive or not. And because of these insecurities and also financial uncertainties, there was a little bit of a dip in the amount of bursaries that NITheP could award. Yeah? So the distribution of the bursary holders, as you can see here, is way more healthy. Yeah? It's still not optimal, but it's a sign that you know, in the long term, we will win this transformation game. The distribution of the bursaries might also be interesting for you, NITheP. This is just a snapshot of the bursaries of last year. Yeah, we supported students at I think it's exactly 10 universities across the country. Some universities were a little more successful than others, but as I say, this is just a snapshot, and in other years it looked different. One of the programs that NITheP was really good at was the internship program. And since more than a year now, we had to move this also online, and this is a snapshot of this year's internship student. And this is a very important program because many of these students will become, again, masters and PhD students supported by NITheP in future. So they will become part of the NITheP and now NITheCS family. last year, when the first hard lockdown forced us to move everything online, we moved all NITheP / NITheCS activity online. Yeah, we have our weekly colloquium like today, but we also have webinars in between, or maybe on more specialized topics. And every month we organize a mini school, a school dedicated to some specific topic. For instance, this month we have a school on machine learning for high energy physics, yeah, which is also very well attended. As you can see, and these are the data of last year with the viewers of last year, we managed to reach many more people than we did in pre-COVID time, because some of the colloquia schools and webinars receive really surprising large numbers of viewers, which is a clear indication that even in a post-COVID era, we will have to keep a blended approach to these activities to make sure that everybody can take part. All these webinars, yeah, or most of them, because of course, every time we ask the speaker and 99% of the speakers agree to have their video recorded and posted on YouTube or on our website, and you're welcome to browse it and see, and you will notice that we have already collected quite an impressive number of talks on very interesting topics. One of the things that we also did was to sort of relaunch the website of NITheP, yeah. And now if you go to the NITheP website, you will be forwarded to the new NITheCS website that we are starting to develop in a real platform. Yeah, we want the website to become a useful tool for all the new disciplines that NITheCS is taking care of. Yeah, all our activities, research program, training program, and so on and so forth. You will find materials on the on the website. So you're most than welcome to browse the website, and please give us your feedback. Yeah, because it's always important to get feedback, and we receive very nice feedback. Just it can be just trivial things on where we publish the link. Yeah, some people like it here, some people like it there, and if you get the nice feedback, it helps us make it really look better and being more useful, which is the most important thing. Yeah. Last year, because because of COVID, many of the activities that we planned were not possible, so that we ended up having a little bit of surplus in our budget, and we decided to introduce research programs to test one of the concepts that the roadmap of NITheCS suggests, which are focus areas. Yeah, so what we did, we published a call for all the NITap associates to come up with research programs across various centers, various universities, different PIs, and so on and so forth. And at the moment, we are supporting 5 research programs. One driven by Dr. Maluta in Benda about, we could say, about some computational studies for material sciences. We have a theoretical and computational research program, mainly to analyze data of hierarchs, which is a sort of a small competitor of the SKA. Yeah, also a radio telescope initiative, which was proposed by South Africa as well. Interestingly, we support now also a program on genomic contact tracing, with also a large selection of PIs across various institutions. Of course, and interestingly as well, without looking for it, the almost obligatory research program on machine learning emerged, yeah, which is also a collaboration among different centers. Yeah? And Professor Nico Orce suggested a big data program applied to nuclear physics. Yeah? One program that we also support at the moment that is not really a research program, but is the beginning of a school. Yeah? So the idea is to start collecting teaching and educational materials, starting with maybe honors course levels, to make sure that everybody in the country can have access to materials of the standard honors courses in theoretical physics. And this is, of course, something that we will have to expand to cover all the new disciplines that NITheC will take care of. Yeah, so this is, okay, and we also tried, sorry, I forgot about this slide. For the first time, we tried also as NITheP or as NITheCS, yeah, to raise funds for research. Yeah? And the first attempt was very, very successful, I can say. And this is probably something that we need to do more in future, because in this COVID and post-COVID times, funding comes at a premium, so we need to start thinking about raising funds from other sources. Okay. Now, this was a snapshot of NITheP, more or less at the end of last year, beginning of this year. Yeah, because in 2021, just maybe a few months ago, eventually the minister approved the roadmap for the transition from NITheP to NITheCS, so that that's the reason why we are here now. Yeah, so we embarked. We started a couple of weeks ago, or probably a month ago, maybe, a kind of a roadshow program in which we start addressing the various audiences where we want to recruit new associates for NITheCS. We want to promote the idea of NITheCS and start to convince people to work with NITheCS and becoming parts of the NITheCS Associates network. So I mentioned that the minister approved this roadmap document a few months ago. Yeah. And if you are interested, or if you don't have it, please let us know. I think it's already on our website. You find it on the website, but otherwise just drop us an email and we will be very happy to share with you the PDF. Yeah? Or if you want a hard copy, we have a small numbers of hard copies as well. So what I want to explain to you now is a little bit the process of how we got to NITheCS. Yeah? I mentioned at the very beginning that the NITheP faced a little bit of a crisis a few years ago, because being administered as a center of excellence, we were confronted with the sunset clause. Yeah, that meant that after 15 years, after 3 cycles of 5 years, the NRF support for NITheP would have stopped. But as I tried to show to you, NITheP was quite successful. Yeah? So we ticked all the boxes that made us that NITheP was built for, and quite successfully. So that together in discussions with DSI and so on and so forth, a concept document was developed to see whether it would make sense, as a strategy for survival, to make NITheP bigger, yeah, and welcome more disciplines into the institute. Yeah. So after this concept document was formulated, there was a kind of a town hall meeting with many stakeholders, out of which DSI appointed an expert working group and a task team. Yeah, the task team was mainly members of the NITheP management. Yeah, I was part of it. Professor Rodriguez was part of it. Professor Frederick Scholz was part of it. Yeah, and Dr. Happy Sitole from the CHPC was sort of coerced in the task team, because, as I will indicate just now, the CHPC will be a strategic partner of NITheCS. Yeah? So the first job of the expert working group was to produce a document to make the scientific case for such an institute. Yeah, because that was the first thing that had to be assessed, whether such a big institute like NITheCS is becoming makes sense or not in the first place. Yeah? After that first hurdle was positively taken, then the expert working group, and I joined the expert working group as well, to bring in a little bit the Nitap institutional memory. The roadmap was developed, which is the document where I showed you the title page, and that was approved at the beginning of the year. Yeah, so the highlight of the roadmap, you can see it on the slide, where you see the vision and the mission of NITheCS. Yeah, I won't read it. You probably already read it while I'm talking. Yeah, but the very important thing is that there are 4 pillars at the foundation of NITheCS. Yeah, and they should all be looked at as pillars of the same strength and relevance. Yeah? First of all, there is the Africa pillar. Yeah? So NITheCS is an institute embedded in the African and South African reality, and should deal with issues that are relevant to our context, of course. Then, of course, other pillars are obvious: research and training. These were pillars were part of NITap as well, of course. Yeah, and of course, and the last pillar, last but not least, is the engagement pillar. Yeah, so NITap should engage in a constructive way with all stakeholders. Yeah, from the learners in high school that need to decide what they want to study, to the policymakers. Yeah, and of course, the reason for the engagement, one is, of course, to become attractive to young people, and the second one is also to have an ear on the issues where NITheCS can help make an impact for the benefit of society. Yeah? So this will be a constant dialogue that will go on moving forward. So, and now, this is just a slide, a cut and paste from, or an illustration, cut and paste from the roadmap that indicates the 8 disciplines that are now part of NITheCS. Yeah, theoretical physics was there, astronomy and astrophysics were already a little bit there, because some theoretical physicists are operating in the astronomy, astrophysics field, but completely new are then statistics, mathematics, data science, the quantitative computational aspects of biosciences, finance, and Earth system and climate studies. Yeah? So these are the 8 disciplines that the roadmap agreed upon to be hosted in NITheCS. Yeah? And maybe there is a kind of a footnote to be added here. Yeah? This is the disciplines to start with. Yeah, so there is no reason why in future there might not be more. For instance, in previous roadshow, I heard, why is computational chemistry not here? Yeah? There is no real answer to that. Yeah, just that it was, the decision was taken at some stage to limit it to 8, and in future we might be able to add more. And also the other aspect is, of course, that sometimes the boundary in between computational chemistry and computational physics is not very hard. Yeah, so that even now there is always space. Sorry. Oh, okay, I'll continue. Yeah, so that even in future, so that there is a little bit room to play around. Yeah, what is of course obvious is that NITheCS is not operating in a vacuum. Yeah, I mentioned before the CHPC, and since NITheCS has computational in the name, yeah, the synergies and the interaction with the Center for High Performance Computing, and maybe with the whole of NIThES, including Dirisa and Sandra, will play a special role. That's why the CHPC is now here at the center of the circle of the disciplines. Yeah, but there are already many other institutions and centers that that take care of some of the aspects that NITheCS will focus on, and we started already to engage with most of them. Yeah. Yeah, so that you know, the role of NITheCS will not be that to sideline this other institution. Is more to interact with them and maybe to find to be a little bit the glue that keeps all these all these various institutions together. Yeah, I sketch, and it's not a very famous plot because it's not, my graphic skills are not so good. Yeah, but I try to represent the 8 disciplines in this way, because you know the real challenge of setting up NITheCS would be to get these 8 disciplines to speak together and to start working together to solve relevant problems. So it will be very important to find kind of the point of confluence, yeah, of where several disciplines, if not all at once, converge to attack some real grand challenge that each single discipline might not be able to solve on its on its own. Yeah, so if we manage to achieve that, that would be really excellent. Yeah. Now, the roadmap describes not only the thematic content of NITheCS, but also roughly the governance structure. Yeah, and it's, of course, you see it here. It's not particularly surprising. It's roughly the same governance structure of NITAP. Yeah, we have a steering committee, and the interim steering committee has been recently appointed, and we hope that before the end of July there would be a first meeting of the steering committee, so that some critical decisions can be taken. Yeah? At the moment we have an interims management committee, yeah, with an interims director and under interims appointments. Yeah, we don't have yet a new advisory board, but that it's something that after the first steering committee meeting has been held, we will address this as well. Yeah? The real work, of course, is done by the network of associates and in the nodes, yeah, because NITAP, I mentioned at the beginning, has a node structure, and NITheCS will also have a node structure, and will probably hopefully have many more nodes than NITAP had. Yeah, so ideally, you know, I showed you the map of South Africa with the 3 nodes, with the 3 regional nodes. Ideally, we could aim at having a node in every province to cover the whole of South Africa. Yeah? And I think this is very important because you know, the engagement is one of the pillars of NITheCS, engagement and training as well. Yeah? And in order to do that, you need a physical presence. You need to address learners to go into schools, or let school learners come to university, and you can prepare something for them. So a physical presence on the ground is very important. And also because of the 8 disciplines, you need a place around a coffee machine, yeah, where people of various disciplines can come together and start discussing problems of common interest. Yeah? The new aspect in the governance structure that NITAP didn't have, and that is the one that we tested last year with the research programs, is the concept of focus areas. Yeah? So once we have recruited, yeah, a critical number of non-theoretical physics associates, yeah, we will issue a call for focus areas. Yeah? And the hope is that as the balloon test with the theoretical physicists that the community itself of associates will come up with relevant focus areas that can be can be researched. Yeah. So then, and we tested it with the theoretical physicists, and it worked very well. So I hope that it will work also in a more general context. Yeah, but we will have to put systems in place for people to start to know each other, and we will do that in a short while. Okay, this is now the reporting lines. This is probably a little bit boring, and the management committee, but you can imagine that is how that works. Now to the implementation plan. The roadmap discusses various phases. Yeah. So at the moment we are a little bit probably in the transition phase, because NITheP is in operation, because legally NITheP is what we have. Yeah, NITheCS has been approved, and we've been given the clear instruction to set it up. But there is not yet a signed contract between DSI and NITheCS. These are things that as soon as the first steering committee the first steering committee meeting will have happened, these will be things that we will have to address and prepare. So that will be then the start of the foundational phase, where we will have maybe a few new nodes, the focus areas, and so on and so forth. Yeah, what is really I think important is that the roadmap made provision for this little comment here: test and learn. Yeah, so that you know, everything in the roadmap has been thought through carefully, but you know, sometimes the reality might force to adapt some of the plans. So that that's why we started last year already with testing some ideas to see if they work in practice or not. Yeah, so that's where we are at the moment. We are essentially in the transition phase, coming towards the foundational phase, probably in the next 1 or 2 months. Yeah, so these are here listed, also just cut and paste out of the roadmap, some of the items on the to-do list. Yeah, so at the moment we are recruiting associates. Yeah, once we have a critical number, maybe we will have to choose some representatives of all the teams. We already formed the steering committee, although it has not yet met. Once the steering committee meets, we will start the search for a permanent director. My appointment is at the moment just that of an interim director, the advisory board, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so this is essentially the plan for the year. Yeah, if you want. Yeah, the roadmap summarized all this in a Gantt chart. This is just a little bit adapted so that it's a little more readable in a presentation. And you see, at the moment we are phase 1 is of course last until NITheP stopped existing, and NITheCS is a legal entity. The recruitment of associates, of course, it will be a continuous process, but we want to have a critical number by, let's say, by the middle of the year, when also the steering committee will meet, and then and so on and so forth. The next phases will start. So that the roadmap was designed to have the launch of NITheCS at the beginning of 2023. Yeah, and as I mentioned before, it's all test and learn, because you know the reality can be different. And in fact, a different element of reality that kicked in is that the current contract between NITheP and DSI NRF ends in March 2022. Yeah, so that we were asked now by DSI to accelerate the implementation of NITheCS, so that by the first quarter of next year, all the systems are in place, and NITheCS can be officially launched. Yeah, so that you know, if you compare these two slides, there's a little bit of a compression. Yeah, so that's why we are quite busy, and we are pushing also these roadshows to accelerate the recruitment of associates, so that we have all the systems in place for the following steps. So that's where we are now. So who was involved in all of this? You might be interested in knowing. The task team, as I mentioned, was formed by the then management of Nitap. About a year ago, or a year and a few months ago, Professor Friedrich Scholz, who was the director of Nitap, resigned, and Professor Müller-Nordebock took over the deputy directorship of Nitap in Stellenbosch. And myself, Professor Rodriguez, and Dr. Hapisitole I mentioned, but there were also Dr. Adams, Dr. Katio, Dr. Sussman, and Dr. Moodley of the then at the beginning DST and now DSR. Yeah, these are the members of the expert working group. Roughly, it is two representatives per discipline, if you want, or if I use the language of the roadmap, 2 representatives per team. Yeah. And the whole expert working group was coordinated and chaired by Professor Igle Gletthilter, who is now at WITS. So I won't read you all the names. You might either recognize the name or the photo. Yeah. Okay, and this is now where we are today. Yeah, just this afternoon we did a little bit of consolidation of the recruitment process of new associates. Yeah? And at the moment we have 103 NITheCS associates. Yeah? 78 are theoretical physicists. Yeah? It was 67 before the transition, and during this roadshow we recruited another 11, and we have roughly 25 non-theoretical physics associates for NITheCS. So already now, roughly 1/4 of the associates does not have a theoretical physics background. Of course, there are some cases where people work a little bit at the boundary of various disciplines, but roughly. And I wrote here 103 out of 150 because my first kind of milestone is we would like to reach 150 associates, because then we would have at least half the associates that are non-theoretical physicists. Yeah. So it took us 15 years to get to, let's say, 80 theoretical physicist associates. So we must not be surprised if it takes us a few months to recruit more non-theoretical physics associates. But I think we are doing very well, and I hope that after this evening we'll probably add another 15 or 20 candidates to the list of associates. Yeah, and we are also in the process of updating the list of associates on the website. So soon you will have the same numbers on the website as well. Yeah. So, and this brings us probably to the reason why we are here today. Yeah, NITheCS wants you. Yeah. So but what is the role of the associates? The associates are essentially the not so secret weapon of NITheCS. Yeah? They are the people that do the research, that train the next generation, do the outreach, the engagement, the training, and ultimately help achieve the goals of academia and society. Yeah? So we have in Nitap and in NITheCS now various categories of associates. Yeah, the standard category is the individual associate. Yeah, that I was speaking about earlier. Then we have a category of junior associates and institutional and strategic associates. Yeah? And those, of course, not great numbers. Yeah? So let me mention to you the minimum requirements, yeah, to become an NITheCS associate. Yeah? We expect a NITheCS associate to have a PhD or at least some equivalent title, yeah, in one of the relevant disciplines. So we will ask you to please send us your CV, maybe with a short motivation why you think that you are aligned with one or two or more of the NITheCS teams. And importantly, we expect you to be a staff member at a South African university or some other research facility. It could also be a research lab of some industry, but at least to be South African based. Yeah, and then you're most than welcome to email it to Rene at NITheCS.ac.za, or we have also an email address info@NITheCS.ac.za, and then we will we will ask the representative of the discipline to approve your association with NITheCS. Yeah. Now the junior associates will be a very critical category of associates, and in Nitap we had as minimum requirement what you see here on the left of your screen. Yeah, so these were essentially we were targeting staff members that didn't have yet their PhD. Yeah, so that the idea of was that Nitap would help them, maybe associate them with a mentor to make sure that in the course of their activities they get their PhD and can become fully fledged individual associates. So this was essentially intended for the category, maybe a young lecturer appointed in theoretical physics that has completed his master's and maybe is doing his PhD. Yeah? But as I've already done about 10 of these roadshows, at some stage the comment was made, and it was really a valid comment, that there's another category of junior people that we should take care of. Yeah? And these are people that might have a PhD, but are active as postdocs at the South African university. Yeah? And I think it's also important to take care of these individuals, because we can mentor them as well to become a staff member in a short time. So essentially, if you are a little bit cheeky, you could say that the junior associates are those that either have a job or no PhD, or have a PhD and have no job. Yeah. So these are the people that that we're targeting and want to assist, maybe with mentorship programs and other programs to become successful academics and individual associates on their own. Yeah. Okay. Why would you like to become a NITheCS associate? First of all, because NITheCS will support your activities. Yeah, NITheCS has dedicated calls to organize conferences, schools, webinar seminars, workshops, visitors programs, and so on and so forth. Yeah, we have a dedicated program of bursaries, yeah, which are really intended for students supervised by NITheCS associates. Yeah. This year, because of the new system in NRF, the procedure was maybe a little bit complicated because it was new. Students had to apply through NRF and indicate that they were applying for a NITheCS bursary, and so, but we will see how it goes in future. But we will definitely keep going with offering bursaries. Yeah. Then the new element that was not present in NITap is that of the focus areas, where we'll have kind of dedicated research programs to address really grand challenges with a high social and economic impact for the country and the continent. Yeah. And probably most importantly is that becoming a NITheCS associate, you will have access to the NITheCS network of associates, yeah, where you should be able to find similar-minded people to start working together and solve problems that maybe an individual associate could not tackle on her or his own. Yeah, and this will be probably the biggest challenge. You know, the rest is more or less. I don't want to see mechanic, but it's obvious what needs to be done. Whereas to make the network work organically, that will require a little bit of dedication on all sides. Yeah? So that we have to think how people can know each other and meet each other. In particular, now with the COVID constraints, we will need to find some tool to facilitate that. Yeah. Okay, so this ends my. So I hope I didn't speak too long, because I would like us to have some time for questions. So no, thank you very much for patiently listening to me. I don't know. Ilya, sorry.
Okay, yes. Thank you very much, Francesco, for the very nice talk. And there is a question in the chat, and
Yes.
it's, does this apply for those that were already on the previous mailing list of NITheP? Okay, that's probably related to the question that Rene posted, that if we want to get to the mailing list of NITheCS, you know,
Yeah.
you need to follow the list, but probably, yes, you can address
that. No. The mailing list, yeah, we just carried over. So if you were on the NITap mailing list, you will get all the NITheCS announcements and mails as well. Yeah. Maybe a similar question is, you might want to know, sorry, I forgot to mention it, how did we transition the NITap associates to NITheCS? Yeah. And we just invited all the NITap associates to indicate that they are interested in joining NITheCS by resubmitting a current version of their CV, yeah, as a kind of a sign that they still want to be part of NITheCS. Yeah? And in that process, we lost a few members because some people retired or some people moved overseas. Yeah, so we cleaned up a little bit the list of NITap associates. Some people we are still waiting to confirm that they are still interested in being part of NITheCS. Yeah? So we put up a system in place also because at the moment the whole management is interim. Yeah. So and we would like to leave the permanent management, a clean database with all the dates, the data, and the CVs in a nice and clean way. Yeah.
Okay. So and there is a follow-up question. As a foreign national, is there a way to get an association with the NITheCS?
Yes, I'm also a foreign national. Now, the foreign national is not so crucial. Yeah? What is important is to have an affiliation with a South African institution. Yeah, that's what we request. Yeah, but I mentioned at the beginning that we have also the category of strategic and institutional associates. Yeah, so that there might be some individuals that are non-South African and are not based in South Africa, yeah, that for some reason could play an important role for NITheCS, yeah, in whatever way, yeah, and for those individuals and those institutions, we have these other two categories of associates, yeah. But for instance, if someone is a non-South African living out of South Africa, yeah. Those associates, we will probably try not to give them access to the NITheCS funding. Yeah, we have cases where people are employed overseas, but have some honorary or appointment or affiliation with a South African institution. Yeah, in that case, we don't see any problem in making them associates of NITheCS. Yeah.
Okay, and that's probably within that. You also answer the question by Giuseppe Pelicani, who's asking, can an honorary staff member in a science institution be eligible to be individual associate of NITheCS?
Yes, as long as you have some relationship
with
the South African institution. Yeah. We have, for instance, associates that have at the moment a fractional appointment at a South African university, yeah, and that we regard as fine. Yeah.
Okay, so there is one more question from the chemistry side. if I'm
Yes.
interested to join, but I'm in the computational chemistry, do I join theoretical physics? My field is material sciences.
That's exactly the question that I tried to address a little bit in my preliminary remarks. Yeah, formally, and I really don't know the reason why computational chemistry is not explicitly part of NITheCS, but there were constraints also. But having said that, if there is a lot of interest, maybe after the first transitional and foundational phases are over, one can reconsider that and maybe make computational chemistry one of the ninth team of NITheCS. Yeah? At the moment, and I mentioned it before, I'm fully aware that computational chemists are some of the biggest users of the CHPC, for instance. Yeah, and as I see in your remark in the chat, you're working in material science. Yeah? So we have already physicists that are material scientists, and they probably use the same software packages that you are using to become associates of NITheCS. Yeah. So my personal opinion, of course, we will need then to have it approved by the management committee and the steering committee, is that if you can make the valid point that your activity fits with the computational and theoretical aims of NITheCS, then I don't see any problem why you shouldn't apply. Yeah? I mentioned it before, the border between theoretical chemistry and theoretical physics, you can put it here, you can put it there. Yeah? So it's all quite fluid. Yeah? So if people are really interested and want to join, as long as they can make the point that that they can identify or can collaborate with the teams in NITheCS, I don't see any problem. A similar question was raised in one of the previous roadshows as well, and that was about computer science. Yeah? In NITheCS, we have at the moment, we have data science, statistics, mathematics, but there is no explicit computer science. But there the same argument holds. Where does computer science end and where does data science start? Yeah, I don't really know. Yeah, the only thing that I know for sure is that NITheCS doesn't want to become some kind of experimental or hardware developing institute. Yeah, because we are theoretical and computational. So and all the computational hardware will be based with the CHPC. Yeah, so NITheCS doesn't have the ambition to buy a supercomputer or something like that. Yeah? All those aspects will be dealt by the CHPC. Yeah, and the same thing can be like computational chemistry can be said about computer science. There are people in computer science that work on computational aspects of big data, and those are of course welcome. Yeah? But at the moment, the label computer science is not part of the 8 teams. And like for computational chemistry, maybe in future we can change it. But again, the boundaries are fluid. Yeah? So I would say we will decide that on a case-by-case basis. Yeah?
Okay. Thank you. So there is a question from Arun Kumar who is asking, I sent in my CV recently, but I'm still not listed as an associate. How long will this take?
2 minutes. No, we this afternoon we did a little bit again of an inventory, because since we started this roadshow, we get a continuous stream of application. Yeah, and the ones that I mentioned now are those that have already been approved, in the sense that we share the application with the management committee, and we share them with representatives of the disciplines. Yeah. To get their approval as well. Yeah, so give us a day or two and you will be on the website as well. Yeah, and you will receive an official letter from us very soon. Yeah.
Okay. So you mentioned that business and economic impact of NITheCS projects are important. I guess you would like to involve business/industry in this endeavor. How are you going to achieve this?
Yeah, no, that's a very important question. Yeah, thank you very much for that. I mentioned the reality in which we are living these days is that funding for research comes at a premium. Yeah. And I think NITheCS should from the very beginning realize that if we rely exclusively upon funding from DSI, NRF, wherever it formally comes from, yeah, we won't be probably able to make all the associates happy. Yeah, you know, there is a very simple back of the envelope calculation that you can do. Yeah, you know, the NITheP budget, yeah, over the years, let's say just for the sake of simplicity, let's say it was 10 million. Yeah, some years it was a couple of million more, some years a couple of million less, but let's say it was 10 million. And for the sake of simplicity, let's say that NITheP had roughly 100 associates. It was a little bit less, but that means that if you look at the funding that NITheP disbursed per associates, yeah, it's a number of the order of 100,000. Yeah, so if we want to scale it up, which doesn't mean, sorry, because I need to do this addendum because in a past steering committee meeting, it was misunderstood. Yeah, that doesn't mean that every associate receives a check of 100,000. Yeah, that's just the expenditure of NITheP per associate, yeah, on average. And if we scale it up, you know, at the moment, you know, I told you NITheP and theoretical physics associates are around 75 or so. Yeah, and our first aim is to have 150. But of course, that will not be the end game because you know we had 70 theoretical physicists. Probably the end game will be probably several hundred associates in the country. It will take a while until the message spreads and people start seeing the benefit of NITheCS and start joining. Yeah, so that if we scale that up, let's say to 300-400 associates, I will probably need a budget of the order of 40 million rand or something like that. At the moment, this year, the budget of NITheCS, if I'm not, don't remember wrongly, is around 16 million rand or something like that. Yeah, so we probably have a budget that could make us to make happy, let's say 150 associates. Yeah, but if we go beyond that, then we need, of course, a larger budget. Yeah, and at the moment, you know, I don't know whether we will be able to get that budget out of DSI. Yeah, you know, you just need to open the newspaper and you see that all the budget for research is one of the budget that is going down. Yeah, it's not going up. So that we will have to actively look for external funding, yeah, from non-DSI funding. Yeah, and I think that with the NITheCS concept and the focus area concept, we are really well positioned to do that. Yeah, because by joining forces across disciplines and teams and we can probably start addressing really big challenges where the big international funding agencies, yeah, public or private, yeah, might be happy to support our activities. Yeah, but you know that will be a joint effort. Yeah, but we will have to invest time and energy to get people to buy in in this concept. Yeah, because it's inevitable. Yeah, we will have to. Yeah. And I think we'll have really good chances to achieve that. So that you know, if we achieve to double the budget of DSI through external funding, yeah, and then we will have to develop, you know, for instance, if we manage to let's just do some random example, yeah, to attract a 10 million grant thanks to quantitative finance, yeah, that would be great. But you know, of course, most of that funding should go then to quantitative finance. We will have to develop a kind of a system that that everybody profits from the big grants in one way or another. Yeah. You know, I don't have the answer now how we will manage it. You know, it would require discussions with all the associates, with the steering committee and DSI and so on and so forth. Yeah, but we will have to find a way, I think, because otherwise we won't be able to do the things that NITheCS was designed to achieve. Yeah? So sorry, I spoke a lot, but I'm not sure that I gave you the answer that you wanted to hear. Yeah? But Ilya, if you want, you can give people the right to speak. We are not so many, so it is really manageable. Yeah.
Okay. So there is like a follow-up question, but from Moritz. Do you collaborate with corporates, or do you plan to do it in future?
Ah, yes. Sorry. I'm not scared of collaborate with corporates. Yeah, in particular, at the moment with the pandemic, we started already to address genomic contact tracing, and if we manage to attract the interest of some big pharmaceutical company that wants to support it, so be it. Yeah, I don't think we should be scared of it. Yeah, as long as the boundaries are well defined. Yeah. But there are other, now we have also quantitative finance. That also is an area where we can offer the NITheCS services, yeah, or climate change, Earth systems modeling. There are machine learning. Yeah, there are there's lots of knowledge in NITheCS, and I mean it is increasing daily, because every day we receive new applications for associates. Yeah, where with just a little bit of coordination, I think we should really be able to write convincing applications and establish convincing collaboration with industry and other institutes as well. Yeah, I know that's another possibility. Yeah, we started a discussion a few weeks ago to relaunch sort of the relationship to the ICTP in Trieste, because Nitap had a memorandum of understanding with ICTP, but it expired a few months ago. So we started a process of renewing that MOU as well. Yeah? But now, of course, it will be renewed not only for theoretical physics, we will bring in all the other disciplines as well. And interestingly, the International Center for Theoretical Physics in Trieste covers more or less all the disciplines that NITheCS covers. Yeah, so that it will be very nice to establish a strong link with that institution. Yeah, and there are other institutions like that as well spread across the world. Yeah.
Okay. And there is a very important question from, I assume, probably from a student. And how does a student apply for funding for 2022?
Yes, very nice question. The procedure will be exactly the same as for 2021. Yeah, because at the moment I mentioned NITheP legally is the entity that exists. Yeah, and NRF regards NITheP as a center of excellence. Yeah, so an all center of excellence linked bursaries, yeah, are now administered directly through NRF. Yeah, so when you apply if you want to apply for a NITheCS bursary, yeah, you need to apply on the NRF system and indicate that you apply for a NITheCS bursary. Yeah, ideally, to make things smoother, yeah, please inform us as well. Yeah, just drop us an email and tell us, I applied for an NRF bursary, but I want it from NITheCS. Yeah? Because once NRF has done all the vetting and all the other procedures that this new approach requires, yeah? We can then fish your application out of the NRF pool and award you the NITheCS scholarship. Yeah. So at the moment it's a little bit complicated, yeah. But it's the second time, and I'm sure over the years the system will be refined, yeah. And but at the moment that's how it is, yeah. Maybe once there is a new NITheCS as a new legal entity, yeah, it could well be that because of the magnitude of NITheCS, yeah, that we are no longer regarded as a center of excellence, yeah, so that maybe those rules don't apply anymore to us in future, yeah. But this is something that I can hope, but I can't promise, yeah, because we will see how things develop. Yeah? But
Okay,
on our
and
website,
probably,
you will find the instructions as well. Yeah.
and probably there is a probably let's say that it's the last follow-up, because I also see that the people start slowly leaving. So, but it's a follow-up from Moritz to the question about the collaboration with corporation. He was thinking about something along the lines of an internship that involves some sort of research component, and if the candidate have done a good job, then it might lead to their future job or things like this. So
You know,
kind of would be.
that's an excellent suggestion. You know, at the moment we have the internship program that mainly addresses honor students. Yeah. And it was, we always say that it's very successful because many of those internship students end up later being masters and PhD students. Yeah, so that fulfills that, that component. Yeah, but you're right. There is no reason not to maybe approach a certain industry or corporates and ask them to have a joint internship program, so that maybe people even that maybe have already a master's can then maybe do an internship in one of the industries. Yeah. You know, I had in the past students that did internships with Microsoft, with Google, with Standard Bank. Yeah. And it worked, but it was not a coordinated effort. It was more a case by case kind of situation. Yeah, but that's a very good suggestion. Yeah, we can look into that as well. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's all the questions which we have by now. And looking at the time, I think the only thing which we need to do is say thank you very much for Francesco, a very nice talk, and say thank you very much for doing this huge work to moving the community forward, not only in theoretical physics, but now generally in theoretical and computational sciences in South Africa.
No,
Thank you very much.
And no, thank you, Ilya, and thank you to the participants. And please, now that you know the rules of the games to become an associate, please apply. Drop us an email. It's really not complicated. We try to keep to be as lean as possible. Yeah. So please just drop us an email with your CV, and essentially that's it. And then the machinery will then make you an associate in as short a time as possible. Yeah. And I say it again, this is very important because we want in a month or so, as soon as the first steering committee has met, we want to issue the call for the focus areas, yeah? And that will be open to associates. Yeah? So please try to become an associate before the focus area call is published, so that you can profit from it as well. Yeah. So no, thank you very much, everyone. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.